Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Everlife Gaming Network, and today we're hot and ready for some action over at the Collegiate League of Legends scene, as we'll be catching the University of Calgary take on University of California, Los Angeles. I'm your caster today, Eric Desrox Beltran, followed by my co-caster and, a little bit of a pseudo-mentor here. It's DW the Doctor. How you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great, and I'm going to be even better later on tonight when we are casting this collegiate bout that we have waiting for us. So I'm excited to jump right into it.
Yeah, two universities going at it. The time we get into the collegiate scene, it's overdue. But University of Calgary, UCLA bans are going through. Sejuani off the board. This is patch 9.3. A lot of nerfs coming in, as well as ADC changes. And it's very early in the patch, so this is the experimental phase.
Yeah, 9.3, the patch where they lowered the amount of champions in the game from 143 down to 141 with the removal of Akali and Aatrox. So I don't expect to even see bans coming out of them. But the Sejuani still obviously very strong. The Zoe pickup gaining a couple ranks on that tier list due to the removal of Akali. And I don't expect much else to change.
And Renekton banned out of Calgary. Kind of interesting pick to go through, but one thing you have to keep in mind is the ADC changes. With them, Spear of Shojin did show up, and it's basically a little bit of this weird item that does not have crit, but does a lot for champions who can utilize their ultimate in a team fight and still get off those autos. Renekton would be one of those champions, and of course, Lucian off the board as well, still one of the top tier ADCs, Lissandra can take on.
Yeah, Urshi, the top laner for UCLA, also is a pretty strong Renekton player, it being his second most played champion behind only Urgot. So I'm wondering if University of Calgary is trying to pick that up. Urgot, not getting hit at all in 9.3, completely as strong as he's always been, and being up against a Renekton might be a bit of a rough lane in the early stages of the game. So they ban that out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it picked up unless they have an even stronger pick in mind.
More bans do go out. Soraka taken off the map. And now, as you were saying, a little bit of a profit here. Urgot going to be picked up on the first pick. Now it's UCLA's time to retaliate.
Yeah, Urgot, obviously, tier S top laner. I'm curious what the actual pick into it is. We've seen a lot of tries coming into the Urgot pick, mostly in the competitive scene, which is still running 9.2. We're still seeing a lot of Aatrox, but I know earlier we were talking about the Aatrox nerfs and how extensive they may be, and you seem to think that it might be still viable, even though they did tweak him a little bit. Now, I don't think UCLA is going to go for the Aatrox pick, but the Xin Zhao pick definitely is probably the next tier down from Sejuani.
Yeah, definitely a great aggressive jungler to take into this matchup so far. They do have their option, UCLA, to go for the counter pick if they want. Sion typically was a pick you'd go into Urgot, and that's the pick that's going to be locked in despite the nerfs that just went through in 9.3.
Yeah, dropping his shield cooldown higher up, so it now scales with levels instead of just being flat 11 seconds per tick. And then also the changing up how much damage his Decimating Smash does, dropping each minimum and maximum by about 10 points. So it does change his trade pattern a little bit. And I definitely think he's going to struggle early on in the game, especially if we can get a very early game aggressive jungler from University of Calgary. They're hovering the Kazakhs, which is becoming a really strong pick, and so they're going to lock that in, and I expect we'll have to see if he has any other gankable lanes besides the top lane.
Yeah, and people kind of overvalue a fed Kha'Zix without looking at what Kha'Zix does at base level. He does have a low economy build, getting those serrated Dirk items. So he can pop off even if he has 0 kills. It's just a matter of how well the jungler of UCLA can shut him down early. But Alistair going to be locked over for Calgary. That is a very aggressive support to have. It's indicative of something like a Vayne or a Kaisa to be picked in the later stages.
Yeah, it's also a fairly versatile support. You can match it up with just about everything. There's not many AD carries that are bad with Alistar. So you can pick it up. You're not showing your AD carry or your mid laner left. That does open them up to being banned away, however. And I definitely think that UCLA picking up this Caitlyn is huge. I've been messing around with the Caitlyn on this patch, the 9.3 critical patch, and just the amount of damage she can put out is bonkers. You know, you don't deviate too much from the previous builds that you've gone on Caitlyn, and yet you still seem to do more damage.
Yeah, the latest patch has been interesting for Caitlyn so far. It is still a little bit of the same build, but now a little less reliance on Stormrazor. Stormrazor has backed off to be that third or fourth item, and now the first item, we're kind of back to the old times. Infinity Edge, it's getting picked up much more often as that first item.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of become the more clear-cut favorite, just due to being so strong. You know, they did change its passive. It no longer gives you those true damage bonus points. You now actually do critical damage with it, and you do not have to worry about getting, you know, a high amount of critical chance before picking it up. You are able to just let it rock with that one. And you know, Stormrazor, like you said, it is a third or fourth item, and it's more complementary than necessary because you don't even necessarily need it. It just makes you that much stronger.
Yeah, but only if you have a Zeal item. You really want to maximize that Energize effect that you get from Stormrazor. I believe the passive is called Storm, which gives a boost to any Energized effect coming from Rapid Fire and Static Shiv. If you could utilize that, Stormrazor, ridiculously efficient, but you'll never see it as a first pick anymore. Braum, going to be locked in on the side of UCLA. Great defensive support to have.
Yeah, I actually really like the Braum pick into the Alistar. You know, they are both melee champions, but having that super long range of the Caitlyn to back you up does allow you to trade more efficiently and able to get a lot more stuns off. And when you ban out some of those stronger ranged supports in the Morgana and the Nami, then it does open it up for these different kind of trade patterns when you pick a complementary tank support. And with the Tristana pickup, again, another critical, you know, 80 carry. It is seeing a bit more play, but it's also super fun. And now we do have double resets for University of Calgary.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting. We're going to be seeing stomps all over the place. Goombas coming out of the Kha'Zix and the Tristana. Vladimir, last pick to come through for Calgary. They're just hovering it at the moment. Vladimir hasn't been touched in a while, but he has been popping up both in the amateur scene and the pro scene from time to time, and that's going to be a lock-in.
Yeah, Vladimir's been sneaking up. I have seen some people even calling him, you know, just like super sleeper OP, and he's just kind of wiggling his way into some of the void that is being left by these, you know, top tier mid laners, kind of getting nerfed a little bit because he still does excellent damage, still does excellent, you know, wave clearing control status, but he's still able to be relatively safe. You know, he's not really worried about any ganks thanks to the pool. He's not really worried about, you know, being dove and having to worry about, you know, multiple people coming at him, and he can just kind of farm, wave clear into oblivion, and just be able to stack up damage come these team fights.
And both of our compositions are locked in. Malzahar going to be the last pick for UCLA. Malzahar, interesting pick to go through, most likely trying to thwart a little bit of that blood pool by just holding him down with the Nether Grasp. And given you have an aggressive ADC like Xin Zhao, it's something that could work out, but it's something you have to also be very careful of, because once Vladimir gets going, there's no real off button on that gem.
No, and I definitely think that the pick of the Malzahar is less Vladimir focused because he's obviously going to be able to control him in lane using, you know, the space. I can't think of what the E is called, but being able to use that ability. Okay, Malefic Vision. Yeah, he's going to be able to use that with the Voidlings and be able to keep the, you know, wave pushed in and not allow Vladimir to roam as much. But I definitely think that the ultimate, being able to lock down the Kha'Zix when he decides to try and jump in and get an assassination is going to be almost invaluable, at least until he gets a QSS, because he might get that extra split second available to give the Caitlyn Braum a little bit more time to burst out the Kha'Zix and stay alive.
Our teams are hitting the rift. Let us know in chat what team you want to win. Will it be Calgary or UCLA? Another thing about that Malzahar that we have to keep in mind is we do get into these pushing battles when we get into competitive League of Legends, and Malzahar is pretty good at pushing. Getting that early lane priority can open you up to early objectives and even rotations as these teams start piling into the mid lane.
Yeah, they do fan out a little bit to try and start that usual line of defense that we see most teams fall back to. They are just going to watch all the entrances and make sure that they don't get surprised. And I definitely think that the junglers starting on the same side of the map, that top side, means that they're not too worried about their own top laners, and they really kind of want to focus on these, buffed 80 carries. They do want to get them rolling and trying to make sure that they can burn through the enemy meat shield.
So far, split coming out. It's going to be interesting to see how these lanes play, especially the top lane. As I said, it is a Scion-sided match in 9.2. The changes were very minor. They weren't too big, but the scaling on that W, that shield that Scion is able to put up, makes you wonder if he's going to be more abusable and if that will shift the tides of this type of matchup.
I think it definitely plays interestingly into the Scion shield as well. Not Scion shield, sorry, excuse me. Urgot shield. It's, an ability that has been kind of controversial. He does get pretty tanky when adding in that shield, and he just, he's able to pump out so much DPS while it's running as well, that it being on a shorter cooldown will open up, punish windows onto the Scion, who will not, like you said, be able to shield himself as much. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the lane fully plays out. And I think if it was Scion favored before, it's definitely going to be more skill focused now.
Getting a little lag on my side, able to fix that.
No worries.
Yeah, now the early jungle coming out. This is where the whole Xin Zhao pick comes in pretty big, because early on, Treebro is not going to be able to really do anything against that pick. This jungle is going to belong to that Xin Zhao for the first couple of minutes before Treebro can really turn on.
Yeah, it's going to be, for right now, if Xin Zhao finds Kha'Zix, he just straight up dies. However, once Kha'Zix can get his jungle item or so, if he can get the surprise bushwhack off, then he actually has a fairly decent chance at bursting out Xin Zhao and getting some kind of advantage, but not necessarily being able to get the kill. But if you can, force the enemy jungler to recall, that's just so much more time that they're not, proactively making plays around the map trying to get their team ahead. But we don't seem to see too much pressure being applied from Xin Zhao just yet. He is doing a full clear. He was able to get both scuttles as well, so he's going to be pretty far ahead in that sense. But Kha'Zix is also just worried about his own jungle, doesn't want to, worry about getting any early kills or anything like that. He just wants to farm, get his jungle item, and then focus on impacting lanes.
Slow start from him, but off of that, the Xin Zhao really does have to have a little bit of early aggression, specifically for the sake of counter jungling. But we are going to get a gank coming in. Xin Zhao, Egric, looking to find Octagon. Octagon able to use the Blood Pool. 3-time strike starting to go off. The silence goes off as well. That's a lot of damage on the Octagon, but with no ignite on the Malzahar. They won't see a dive going through, but they weren't even able to burn a flash, so that's going to hurt a little bit for Egric.
Nerves of steel from Octagon. He knew they didn't have the damage. He knew he was able to just walk it out, and he is going to be backing. No TP available, but without Xin Zhao staying to help push the lane, he's not really in any danger of even losing any minions.
Wave is going to crash to the turret. He loses just a little bit, but not really much at all, as you were saying. He still has the CS lead, and Shirzone has to find his way into this matchup. He has teleport. He can take a very safe recall if he wants to. That gank not going his way is just indicative of how good gate tools Vladimir are.
Yeah, and they're going to get a little bit better as the game goes on, too. Going to be picking up the Proto Belt to have a little bit more of a little kick away. but he's, obviously going to keep the pool. The cooldown's going to keep going down, and it's just going to be very slippery, especially once he gets 6 and gets that, burst of damage with the Hemoplague. He's definitely going to be able to, start turning these 1v2s, if not just outright, winning them.
And a full Vladimir combo could be absolutely nasty, especially if he can do it right. It is disgusting to see go through where they charge up their E and then R, and the E animation goes off post R. But again, going on the top lane, Urshi takes a bit of damage, but nothing much to worry about. That whole lane gank, that camp, not paying off whatsoever. Both of these junglers are struggling to find early success.
Yeah, Trebro actually didn't even connect onto Urshi there. No taste of fear, nothing. He was just gonna jump in and it was just constantly just out of range. But showing himself in that top lane does open up the dragon for UCLA, and they will definitely take an Ocean Drake. That is huge for their kind of siege composition here, because they're going to be able to, keep mana on the Malzahar, keep Caitlyn healthy, and keep the tanks, relatively healthy as well come these siege times. And we can just see there how deceptive that decimating smash, animation is there, because it definitely looked like Cryus was definitely safe, and he simply wasn't.
Oh, man. Here
That's
we go. The onslaught goes through. It doesn't even matter. Able to pick up a kill. That's Sion.
Yeah, we saw the spellbook come into play there with that ignite, giving him just the oomph he needed there, and it goes right back to a teleport. It is on cooldown now, so he's going to have to walk back to lane when he does decide to recall, but he'll definitely take that 400 gold. He'll put it to good use.
Just saying, that is a Sion-sided matchup. We were wondering, we had question marks if this would still be the case. They were just small nerfs. Doesn't even make a difference. The gank went over to Cryus earlier, and it doesn't even matter at that point. It's still Sion dominating an Urgot.
Yeah, and so now Urgot has to play safe. He has to, be aware that Sion can now 1v1 him effectively. And so we are seeing, double cloth, ruby crystal coming out from the Sion. Maybe an early Bramble Vest, which has been shown to be extremely effective into Urgot, obviously with his machine gun, just doing tons of damage, eating tons of damage back from the Bramble Vest. It's really hard to deal with on a champion that doesn't have built-in auto-attack sustain.
Both AD carries, meanwhile, in the bot lane, were able to find recalls at a certain point. Pushing advantage, going over to Chubby Monkey just because Tristana knows how to shove lanes. But that's a BF sword start for both of our ADCs. We should see that Infinity Edge first item come through.
Yeah, and I've seen some experimenting with, going back to that old starter that was what people were going before Stormrazor, where they'd pick up a BF sword, go into a Zeal item, and then finish the Infinity Edge. But honestly, I think Infinity Edge is just so strong right now that I don't necessarily see the reason to try and skip finishing it for just that little bit of attack speed, especially when you can, take it in your runes and get a good amount of attack speed before you even need items.
Yeah, and one of the big things about that was the change, not relying on any Zeal items. It makes it a ridiculously gold efficient item once again, and that gold efficiency is the big thing about Infinity Edge. Zeal by itself is not gold efficient, but if you get Infinity Edge, it suddenly becomes gold efficient. Really, you're paying for the passive when you're buying those Zeal items, and you're paying for how well they synergize with other items. So Infinity Edge now is just shining through based off that alone.
Yeah, I mean, these Zeal item passives, they're already pretty good, and now that you get a Stormrazor that just improves them, gives you an added slow too. Like if you go Infinity Edge, RFC, Stormrazor on Caitlyn, you get such a massive long-range slow that it's so hard for the enemy team to try and run away from you, because every time, it's building up quicker, you're getting that slow quicker, and it's just really difficult to run away from.
Speaking about being difficult to run away from, a lot of damage going off on the top side. You gotta be careful for Cryus. You already lost early on. You can see a lot of that armor starting to stack up onto the Sion.
He has hit level 6. He is level 8, so he does have his ultimate available along with that ignite. So in these super extended trades, he may end up winning out. Just being able to, use that ignite into ultimate combo. But this invade could be dangerous. Ryzon has level 6.
Octagon looking to walk away. Ryzon not going to dedicate with the Nether Grass, but Egric versus Tree Bro. Trying to find his red buff, but backup has come. Hydro around the corner. Red buff going to go over to Egric. Tree Bro getting robbed in his own jungle.
Yeah, they are just, big body brothering it into those jungle paths and just, bullying out Tree Bro, unfortunately. And that's what you're able to do when you have, the stronger duelist support and actually have friends backing you up. Nobody was quick enough to Tree Bro, and he kind of got bullied out there.
So far, the way this game is going has been a little bit of a passive, slow win coming out of UCLA. They are able to get quite a few plates on the bot side, and from there out, along with that first blood, it's just been trying to rack in as much gold as he can. Earlier, we saw the gold lead was going over to Chubby Monkey in the bot lane. Now Midnight is the one who's going to UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, he does have, the Piltover Peacemaker to just completely shove that lane. Getting a little bit help from his jungler there. They were able to get a lot of plates, and with now, 4.5 minutes left total plate-wise, that's going to be huge because it's not going to give Chubby Monkey the chance to retaliate and try and get those, plate money for himself.
Yeah, that's one of the crucial things about what these latest patches brought to us, specifically all those plates. It's so crucial for ADCs to get as many as possible to get into that late game scaling type situation. If they can't really rack it in, and if their opponents did, that could be the nail right there. You're going to need a lot of work from the rest of your team to equalize that.
Yeah, and I'm, we're seeing Caitlyn come ahead. We know Sion's ahead. We know that this mid lane does have an 8 CS advantage as it is, and just has that, instant hard CC ultimate ability to try and catch somebody. And there's a lot of CC following up behind that. It's really difficult to see, UofC's opportunity to win, right? Because even come these team fights, unless they get like a perfect combo, double resets with that Fear Beyond Death maybe, it's going to be really difficult for them to maneuver around and try and out damage, the composition that's running back at them from UCLA. And so we did see that second Ocean Drake going over to UCLA. And, like I mentioned earlier, that sustain, it's massive for them. And especially getting 2 and getting that much more out of it, they're going to be able to spend a lot of time sieging these towers, even before Baron's on the table. It's only 13 minutes into the game. We can see Egret, clearing out some wards. Maybe he wants to get this Rift Herald, get that first brick for his team. It's definitely an option with Tree Bro being caught out on, the ward here.
Gonna walk over that control ward, take it down, and go after Scuttlecraft. And it's gotta feel good at that point just because of how much bullying has been coming out of Egric. I believe he denied 2 buffs in the last rotation, which is absolutely ridiculous, but a gank is going to come through. Able to go forward, looking to jump onto Midnight. Midnight gets knocked up, but able to just barely walk away. Takes a bullet to the back while running away. Ultimately falls. Rocket jumping in, Chubby Monkey has to abandon this fight because Egric is here and he has Sai set on the Tree Bro. Looking to find that 3-talent strike, but falls in the process. And now Saucy Meat, nowhere for him to go. Cheerzone is going to be able to pick up that one.
A good 2-for-2. Octagon's just here to try and clean out the waves, but he is going to be forced back. It's a lot of damage coming at him.
Turret's under attack. It's going to be very hard for Octagon. You do need to get that critical kill in a moment for Vladimir, but going forward is Octagon. Got to be careful because there is the Nether Grasp. A couple of hits in, but ultimately going to back off. Malefic Visions doing its work, but a little bit of healing coming out from Octagon to keep himself up and alive. But Malefic Visions coming through again. Now,
is that it? Is that it? Is that it?
Blood. It's almost it, but not going to be the kill. Octagon just barely escapes.
That's definitely like almost single-digit HP right there, and it feels really bad for Octagon to not get that kill onto Hydro Zenith. That Unbreakable just coming up so clutch there, giving him just enough resistances and blocking just enough damage to keep him alive, even when the Hemoplague did pop. And, it feels kind of bad because I feel like Chubby Monkey's backdoor escape there kind of cost his team a little bit after rocket jumping into turret range.
Pull the old wild turtle. basically what it was right there.
He was like, I got it, coach, let me go for it. And then all of a sudden he's stuck under tower, nowhere to escape, and he just runs away from his team. Yeah, feels bad. But it is an overall plus, I feel, for UCLA. You know, they got some gold onto the members that need it, mostly, you know, that mid laner, Cryzon. And so he's just going to build up. You know, he's already completed his Ludens and his boots, and he's got 4 stacks on that ring. He's ready to rock and roll. And with another dragon coming up in 40 seconds, I can't help but think that it's going to go to UCLA again.
Yeah, UCLA are getting great tempo, and it's at a stage of the game where Cryzon is going to become a pushing menace. It's going to be very hard for Octagon to not be under his tower.
Yeah, I mean, we saw right there that he was, you know, trapped under tower, but something that I think is notable is this 80 carries decision making here. You know, I talked earlier whether we're going to get, you know, BF Sword and then Zeal Item or BF Sword into Infinity Edge, and we can see the 280 carries are divulging in what they want to do. And so I think that this right here is actually going to give, you know, Caitlyn a bit of an edge where she probably shouldn't, right? Like, Caitlyn's supposed to be down in this mid game. She's not supposed to be able to keep up damage wise, and he's going to fall down, you know, a little bit. But by going for this Zeal item first, it gives her more attack speed, and it's giving her much more options in these small skirmishes, whereas Tristana is electing to go, you know, BF Sword, Boots, Infinity Edge. And so it's a little bit more, you know, raw DPS, but not landing as many shots.
It is a little bit worrisome, though, because that is a dagger that's being built from Chubby Monkey, which might be going for them. First fight breaking out. Eggrick able to find one pick. The 1-for-1 exchange thus far coming in on the engage. Urchi on the backside with the onslaught, pulling in all that damage, and now UCLA are looking to tear apart Calgary as running away is this Alistair, but there's no hope for him. He's completely caught out. Cherzone looking to finish off the job, getting one more Malefic Visions, and that's all you need. A complete ace coming out from the squad of UCLA.
So definitely going to need to replay that one because there was a lot going on. But I think one of the biggest things, most notable things there that may go under the radar is the Xin Zhao ultimate blocked the Fear Beyond Death bullet. Xin Zhao was definitely in range to be executed had it connected. But he had his whirlwind going. The missile came in, got blocked up, so he wasn't able to get pulled back in. And then from there, there's just so much damage coming through from the rest of that UCLA squad that they were able to just, you know, meticulously burn everybody down, walk front to back, and then by the end, it was just the Alistair and the Tristana alive. And Tristana spent so much time trying to kill the Xin Zhao, she wasn't able to get anywhere else in the fight, but Midnight Hokage was able to just sit back and rain bullets from the sky, and we saw how much faster he was able to cut through the Calgary squad.
Now Calgary are going to be in a world of trouble trying to get back into this, because now UCLA are going to be at a point where they're going to start spiking and start turning on. They don't need much in terms of resources. Now you see Urchi looking to walk away, but that is one tanky boy you have to deal with. Look at all that armor on him. Good luck getting through it.
Yeah, and I was actually wrong on his build path. You know, I said he was going to go Bramble Vest, but he did elect to go that Sunfire Tabby, and it's working for him. He's able to keep these waves completely away from his tower. He's not eating too much damage from the Scion, and he's building, you know, even more armor. So he's like, all right, you have one magic damage threat on your team in the Vladimir. He's already behind. He's only at one item. He's not going to be in a position to deal with me, no matter how much, you know, he tries to focus me for now. I do have to worry about your Kha'Zix, your Urgot, and your Tristana, however. So I'm going to get, you know, 2-3 armor items and then, you know, bank off that.
A lot of damage coming through bot side. Not going to land on the Chubby Monkey, though. A lot of attention there. Players postured up. Octagon looking to find a rotation. I'm a little bit worried about the way Midnight Hokage did do his build. Having more attack speed is nice, but Infinity Edge as a first item, as I said, is gold efficient. Meanwhile, Zill still needs Infinity Edge to find that gold efficiency. Really, he's just trying to rely so heavily on his base damage with his build, but Egric will catch out Treebro. Treebro going into the stealth poke. Does not go through. Meanwhile, Octagon gets caught out as well. Nethergrass landing onto him. Damage goes through, but it's not going to be enough. Fear Beyond Death marks onto Egric. Finds the pick and knocks back Cryzon. Double kill. Going over to Cryus.
Big gold influx there. Getting the 800 gold shut down for Cryzon on top of the double kill. Cryus, who was struggling a bit earlier, now has a bounty on his own head, and he's definitely going to be back into it.
So now this gives a lot to hinge on for University of Calgary, specifically being that top laner, Cryus. Urgot can do terrible things if you leave him in a solo lane, or if you even catch him in a 1v1.
Yeah, and that was a really nice rotation because it actually started with Treebro getting caught, right? Forcing, flashes out, trying to get everybody to try and catch onto him, but he was able to survive long enough for Octagon to get involved, who then is doing just enough damage at this stage of the game that he was able to get, Jin Zhao super low and in just enough range for Cryus to be able to get that ultimate from, downtown and still being able to walk back and get the fear onto Cryzon. So just a really, smartly played rotation there.
And now with Calgary having a bit of an opening, the question is, how do they use this? It is going to hinge a bit onto Cryus, but how do you start spreading that gold? The top lane turret is gone, so he does have the freedom to start moving around if he wants. But does he stay into the split push, or does he look to share the wealth into his other lanes?
I think the play here for UFC is definitely to try and spread the love. Yes, Urgot can keep pushing the wave, but like I said, the Sunfire Keep from Sion is just going to allow him to keep going, playing ping pong with it. And so as long as the two of them are just, throwing lanes at each other, it's giving UCLA time to scale with this Jin Zhao, with this, Malzahar Caitlyn combo, and I definitely think that bodes badly for the rest of UFC, but it looks like we're going to see a bit of action here.
A bit of action coming through, but not enough to get an engage yet. Octagon and Treebro are both posturing up to go for it. So be a little bit careful. When it comes to this area, this is not where you want to be. Inside these corridors where the Glacial Fissure can come up big. As it goes to the middle, so much damage onto Calgary. They're going to lose their AEC just like that. Now it's up to Cryus to pull out the hero play. He's getting in tons and tons of damage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. There's a lot of members still up for UCLA. They take down Cryus. They find some redemption, but now Octagon is in a rough spot going against Egric. Treebro, meanwhile, trying to get damage on the offside. And now this will be a 2-for-3 exchange in favor of UCLA as they set up for a turret.
Yeah, another big play coming out from UCLA, and they were able to get Chubby Monkey with a lot of CC there. Cryzon obviously getting that Nethergrass so clutch, keeping him right on top of the wall and allowing everybody to just unload. Unfortunately, Cryus was not able to get the Fear Beyond Death to proc. I'm not sure quite what happened there, but that he was so far into the middle of the enemy team. That would have been so big. And now we see 4 dragons for UCLA. I would love to see that fight again, because that fight is now shaping up to be disastrous for UFC. Not just kill-wise, but they're already on 4 dragons. They're looking at getting a 5th, and this is going to be another Inferno.
This is where it's terrifying, because now the gold lead is a little bit artificially inflated with that Infernal picked up, as well as the Triple Ocean Drakes. And you still got a little bit of time before Chubby Monkey starts to turn on and gets that range boost that he absolutely needs to fight these team fights front to back. Meanwhile, Midnight Hokage, he's looking all right. Even though his KDA doesn't really reflect it as well, he's still a potential threat in doing sustained damage in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's completed his Infinity Edge. He's completed his Static Shiv. It looks like he's going for the double Zeal before Storm Razor, but it looks like both AD carries are going for that, and it's just Midnight Hokage does have the rage advantage. You know, Chubby Monkey's only level 13, but eventually that range advantage is going to go away, and it's going to be who can burn quicker. You know, is Midnight Hokage going to be able to get through Cry's Saucy Meat first, or is Chubby Monkey going to be able to burn through Egric, you know, Scion and Hydro Zenith, you know, before the rest of his team dies? And I don't think it's in favor of Chubby Monkey right now, just because of how much armor, you know, Urshi himself has, let alone the rest of the squad. So it's not shaping up to look good. And, you know, with the changes to the Infernal Drake, the first one now being stronger than it used to be, of course, you know, already getting that first one in with their eyes on a second one in about 4 or 5 minutes, it's going to be really difficult. And I feel like UFC is almost forced to fight for it, but they're getting a good engage here.
Yeah, now comes the Glacial Fisher, able to find one pick so far. Egric trying to hunt down Treebro looking to get out of dodge. Teleports are coming through both ways. Fear Beyond Death able to find one kill. 1-for-1 exchange thus far. Here comes Octagon coming in with the Hemo Plague. Urchi able to find one elimination on the backside. Treebro looking to go back in, but Midnight Hokage punishes him for it. Now Cryas, the sole survivor, the last remaining member of Calgary, is getting chipped away at slowly, bit by bit. She will fall at the hands of Hokage, and this is a 3 for an ace exchange coming out, 2 for ace exchange coming out in favor of UCLA.
And that Urgot lasted forever. And, you know, due to that, Shield was finally able to get the Fear Beyond Death proc. Unfortunately, he was so far away from the action, the fear part of it didn't actually matter. And I completely missed what happened to Chubby Monkey there. It looked like they had a good engage with, you know, Saucy Meats, Pulverize, and then Chubby Monkey just was dead. I really don't know what happened to him. I'm going to have to, you know, watch the stream and find out, because it looks like...
coming in with the Hemo Plague.
Here's the replay.
Find one elimination on the backside. Treebro,
you know, amount of damage coming out, and Cryzon was pretty big. He was able to take out, you know, his opponent.
Remaining member.
Look at how long this fight lasts, just due to Cryz getting that, you know, shield proc.
Slowly, bit by bit, she will fall. Auto. That's a raid boss right there. But that's one thing we got to keep in mind with the current state of the game. A lot of these ADCs are going into double Zill builds, which means they're relying so heavily on Infinity Edge to pull out that AD. Since UCLA have the Scion pick, this benefits them so much more, because in front-to-back team fights, Chubby Monkey, given once he does complete that second Zill item, is going to have a much, much harder time getting through that Scion than it will be with Midnight getting through Cryas.
Yeah, and, you know, Midnight already having that second Zeal item, you know, about 800 gold ahead before Chubby Monkey does. It's now giving him the option to go into his next item, but it might be too little. Here's Egric. He's going to go down.
Crescent Strike almost worked. But when the Goomba Stomp comes in, hey, that's all she wrote. And now, being down their jungler, there's not much UCLA can really do, especially when it comes to Baron pressure, and that might be what Calgary go after.
Now, they do still have options. They do have the Glacial Fissure. They don't have the Scion ultimate, notably, though, so that is no longer an engage option.
Baron's starting to get low. 9k remains. Hemo Plague not going to go out just yet. And into this fight is Urshi. Saucy's getting critically low, but now Hokage trying to play this front to back. Out goes the Nethergrass. Treebro gets eliminated, and now Octagon trying to stand tall. Not going to work out for him. Chubby Monkey gets destroyed, and so does Octagon. And that is that power of that frontline Scion soaking in all that damage to let Cryzon and Hokage go nuts.
Yeah, and so early on in these team fights, we've seen Treebro been able to do lots of damage onto Midnight Hokage and Cryzon, get them super low and make things super sketchy in these team fights. This time, however, he looks like he gets the advantage, and Cryzon just says no. I know for a fact you don't have QSS yet. You've built so many other, you know, tanky, damagey items before worrying about your well-being that I'm just going to lock you down and let, you know, Midnight Hokage no longer engage damage. You know, we can see here, don't need the ultimate. The Hemo Plague is going to land onto 3 members, but they just completely disengage at that point, and there's no more damage coming out to complement that. And so Trebro trying to go in does get picked up by that Nethergraphs, just gets obliterated, and now Urchi's in this backline just putting out so much damage. And we see Cryzon raining damage down, along with Midnight Hokage just getting headshot after headshot. Health bars just obliterating because nobody has any armor.
Yeah, and that's it right there. Looking at Urshi, if you watch the positioning of Chubby Monkey, he had to go forward because he didn't want to deal with Urshi, and in going forward, he sacrifices so much of his health. That is how powerful this Scion pick is. It's forcing the ADC to go into a position that he absolutely will get obliterated in.
And it's unfortunate because, you know, he's really trying. He's trying to get the advantage for his team, and he's just being denied. And, you know, when you're playing that carry and you're trying to make things work for your team and you just get shut down by the push of a simple button, it feels really bad. And so I'm wondering if they're like, obviously they're not giving up on this game because they're only, you know, 8k behind. They're down 5 dragons, but you know, there's still an option. As long as they don't give up the Elder Drake, there's still an option. But this suppression is gonna end it.
Yeah, getting destroyed. His Octagon Nethergrass doing so much work. Midnight Hokage, doesn't matter for him. He's looking fine. And now the line of UCLA is pushing forward. Egric gonna walk on out. Midnight Hokage gonna use that range to find a last couple of picks. And even though the fear beyond death went out, it's all for naught because down goes Cryus. And game number 1 is now firmly in the hands of UCLA.
Yeah, Baron buff plus double cannons. And with 20 seconds being the lowest death timer for Trebro, that's game 1, and it is going to go over to UCLA.
Yeah, 31 minutes in. It was a great display. Calgary did some things to try and get in it. It was back and forth early game, but once the rotational play started coming in, and UCLA were just dominating the map.
Yeah, it was really... So the early game was played really well. Both teams neither really getting advantage outside of the Ocean Drakes, which that's just, you know, jungle pressure, right? Jin Zhao has the pressure over the Kha'Zix. He's going to be able to work his way into those dragons. But then everything started spiraling out of control once those team fights started happening. You know, fantastic use of that Nethergraphs to be able to lock down priority targets. You know, they were never forced to blow it on a tank. They were able to get, you know, Chubby Monkey, Trebro, you know, Octagon every single time, and then, you know, Caitlyn being just far enough ahead, being able to output so much more damage and cut through the non-tank members of UFC so much quicker than Chubby Monkey was able to. And, you know, front-to-back team fighting, that Caitlyn's going to win for the first 18 levels anyway. So really well played by them.
Yeah, and one of the big things was Hokage did pick up a Last Whisper, and Last Whisper has been buffed slightly. And that buff is massive because it's 20%, and it used to be 10%. That is something you can sit on. You don't have to fully upgrade, but that does so much where you're trying to fight these front-to-back team fights that have these beefy tanks. Meanwhile, Chubby Monkey was in this state where he has Infinity Edge and Double Zeal item, and we already said Zion eats that for breakfast. He loves that. So at that point, Chubby Monkey was a non-factor. Hokage and Cryzon get to pop off as much as they can. And that's the story of the game. UCLA taking number 1 based off of the team fights. It was a stellar performance. And on that note, we are going to throw it over to a short break. When we return, we will get into game number 2 of Calgary versus UCLA. Be sure to stay tuned. First fight breaking out. Egric able to find 1 pick. The 1-for-1 exchange thus far coming in on the engage. Urchi on the backside with the onslaught, pulling in all that damage, and now UCLA are looking to tear apart Calgary. That's running away. Is this Alistair? But there's no hope for him. He's completely caught out. Terzone looking to finish off the job, getting 1 more Malefic. So much damage onto Calgary. They're going to lose their ADC just like that. Now it's up to Cryus to pull out the hero play. He's getting in tons and tons of damage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. There's a lot of members still up for UCLA. They take down Riot, they find some redemption, but now Octagon is in a rough spot going against Egric. Treebro, one exchange thus far. Here comes Octagon coming in with the Hemo Plague. Urchi able to find one elimination on the backside. Treebro looking to go back in, but Midnight Hokage punishes him for it. Now Carius, the sole survivor, the last remaining member of Calgary, is getting chipped away at slowly, bit by bit. She will fall at the hands of Hokage, and this...
So that is no longer an engage option.
Trying to get low, 9k remains. Hemo Plague. Just yet, and into this fight is Hershey. Saucy's getting critically low, but now Hokage trying to play this front back out. Goes to Neptune Grass. Treebro gets eliminated, and now Octagon trying to stand tall. Chubby Monkeys gets destroyed. And so
they don't give up the Elder Drake, there's still an option, but this suppression is gonna end it.
Yeah, getting destroyed as Octagon. Neptune Grass doing so much work. Midnight Hokage. Matter for him, he's looking fine, and now the line of UCLA is pushing forward. Egric gonna walk on out. Midnight Hokage gonna use that range to find a last couple of picks, and even though the fear beyond death went out, it's all for
up a lot of doors, but those doors only open if you ban the first wave correctly. UCLA taking out that Vladimir that was so defiant, I feel, last game. Even though, UCLA were able to pull out the victory, they know the potential behind that Vladimir, and they're just going to take it right off the table.
Vladimir going down. It's now UCLA's turn to respond in the draft. Curious to see what Look for it. Excuse me, Calgary. I'm going backwards right now.
Yeah, sticking
Not
with
gonna
that
see the light of
Renekton
day
ban.
again.
Yeah, I mean, they know Urshi, strong Renekton player, even though he did, so well on that Scion pick, they don't want him to be able to get a hard, aggressive, kill or be killed top laner.
Lissandra getting banned out once again. She did receive some minor nerfs. Her wave clears a little bit weaker. If you still do the Proto Belt build, it hurts more with the mana changes than you would if with the Luden's build, but she still is a very strong mid laner who can get that shove and who can lock down your carries. Urgot, meanwhile, banned on the side of Calgary.
Yeah, I definitely think that Calgary was almost forced into that. But it does leave the window for Urshi to just pick Scion again, right? Like, unless they go, triple top lane ban and just completely open up the rest of the map for, usage, I think that they have to ban something else here and then just find out the counter pick to Scion.
Yeah, one more ban to come through. It should be a Lucian ban. He is the top tier ADC because he was rather untouched and kind of pseudo buffed with the way the crit changes went, because a lot of those items he picks up makes him just that much stronger given his base state. But no, it's going to be a Malzahar ban. I expect to see the Lucian come out, and there it is.
Yeah, both of these 80 carries are proficient Lucian players. I believe it's both of their most played champion. Let me just double check that. Yep, it's Lucian Ezreal, and it is Lucian Ezreal. So, like I said, they're both going to know how to pilot this champion, and Midnight Hokage did very well on that Caitlyn last game. However, he's now down about half as far range-wise, so he's going to have to be a bit more down and dirty with the rest of his squad.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because now it does show that early to mid game focus. Lucian is that low economy Blade the Rune King into Black Cleaver. That shouldn't have changed at all. Some people are saying Spear of Trojan on Lucian now. Black Cleaver is useful all the time. Spear is only useful when he pop your ult. So now it's on to Calgary's side. Once again, the Scion was up and right there, locked in right away. Which leaves Treebro most likely to go for a jungler if I had to guess. I wouldn't be surprised if they would go for the Xin.
Yeah, Xin Zhao definitely took the pants off of Treebro's Kha'Zix. They want Treebro to have more agency this game, because he was definitely bullied out with that mid lane jungler combo from last time. So, yep, there's the Xin Zhao. Definitely more agency on this pick, but Sejuani's still available.
Sejuani is available, and as we know, she's starting to become a very big menace since the buffs she got. I believe in 9.1, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Egric, his turn to pick, can grab his jungler. There are a lot more lanes to choose from. I don't expect to see the mid lane pick just yet. Now would be the time to show your top lane and your Whoa! Yorick.
If that's an actual lock, that is a lock. Okay.
Wow.
So Yorick actually, so I do play with a Yorick one trick, and the changes. Say again.
Give me the 411 on this one. I'm
so
curious.
So Yorick did get changed. They changed the way his ultimate works, and they changed a couple of small other things that, as an AD carry main, I didn't pay attention to. But the biggest change being that ultimate, it no longer heralds down a lane. Like, when you pop Rift Herald and just runs down the lane, Yorick's ultimate no longer does that. He's able to keep it with him and keep it, right in his back pocket once he summons it. So it's no longer just a sacrifice once you summon it in a lane. You're able to carry it around, walk through the enemy jungle with it, and take, even stronger fights than you used to be able to before. And, still being a relatively useful champion even without that ultimate is very deceptive. You don't expect a lot of the things Yorick does because you don't play against a lot of Yoricks. And so when 9.2 came in and those changes came with it, we were starting to see a lot of Yorick bans in solo queue. And so now being picked into the Scion is a bonkers matchup for Yorick. He's going to get time to free farm, he's going to get time to build up his items, and he's going to be able to just, do what he wants. And combination with that Sejuani that Egric was able to take, Scion is not going to get to play League of Legends this game.
and interesting enough to see go through the Ari. Does pop up from time to time. The mid lane pull is a little bit of a enigma at the moment. So Calgary going to take that second phase of bans. Cassidy, Braum, and Caitlyn taking off the map. Calgary yet to pick up an ADC, so now would be the time to pinch that pool.
Yeah, taking away, the two biggest critical, range duty carries in that Caitlyn and that Tristana, does force Chubby Monkey down a tier. I personally find Sivir to be really strong this patch, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. It also works really well with the rest of the team they have so far, using that on the hunt to get Sion and Jin Zhao into that backline, giving Octagon a bit more fluidity in these team fights with that bonus move speed. But there's obviously still things like Vayne, Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa hovered here, probably going to get locked in. Yeah,
no surprise on that one, but it does mean there is a requirement for an aggressive support. You can't just go to Kai'Sa and expect to do well in lane. You do need a support who can go on in heavy. So if you're UCLA, that's the support you want to take away, the Alistair. And taking that away takes away a lot from that Kai'Sa pick, and it leaves very little left on the table. As we can see, the Braum is banned away, and Rakan has been nerfed to near oblivion, though for some reason we did see it in LCS today. So there's not much of a choice when it comes to supports for Calgary at this stage.
So it's really now going to depend on what kind of support style Calgary wants. They still have all the mage supports and the defensive supports in, Soraka, Janna, Nami. Like, those are all still available. When it comes to beefy, tanky, help the AD carry supports, there's still Tom Kench. There's still Blitzcrank. So the options are still there. It just depends on what they want to. They're hovering the Janna, which...
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree with. It's a very good disengaged support. It's very good at keeping your AD carry away from threats. You can use it, pretty proactively when you see that Sejuani, Alistar, try and, ability in. You can pop that Monsoon or even the Tornado and really kind of deny that engage. The Tornado is actually pretty big when it comes to laning phase, right? Because we've consistently seen Janna picked into Alistar Leona lanes, being able to reactively pop the Tornado and stop the engage.
So, on paper, I don't hate it, but there are very clear weaknesses. Because if you do focus down that Janna in the laning phase, that's a Lucian Alistar you're going against. If they catch you, you're caught. That's it. That's death right there. But in the team fight phase, I can see it working a little bit better. It could prolong the living heck out of how long this Sion stays up. And, of course, having that AD buff does wonders as this ADC meta starts to ramp up and we get stronger ADCs in that 25 to 30 minute mark. It's just, I'm so worried about the lane. That's the big thing about how this lane plays out.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa, not one of the big beneficiaries of this patch either. Not a heavy crit, AD carry. Yes, she was constantly building Storm Razors first, as of a patch ago, but that's because it was just such a strong item. Everybody was building Storm Razor first. They're going to catch Midnight Hokage sleeping a little bit.
Yeah, they burn the flash out of him early. And given, once again, that is Lucian, a low economy early game to mid game ADC, that's a win right there. You couldn't really ask for much else.
No, I believe he started E2. I'm going to have to get that double checked. Because it looked like he tried to dash away and then was forced to flash as well. Which would actually super hurt his early game and would definitely give the early level 2 away to the enemy lane, which is super detrimental to that early aggression you were expecting.
Yeah, so now a lot of leniency bought for this crew on the side of Calgary. The question is, how do they use it?
No, looks like you started W, so I was wrong.
Okay. Still, though, flash down. It's stress relief early on, and it's stress relief they desperately need coming into this matchup.
Yeah, and so now they went straight to lane. You can see that the Kai'Sa Janna lane went right to lane. They wanted to get that early push in. They don't kill any of the minions early on, so they're not, they're not going to be ahead, using, the Kaisa Q there to claim all of them, though. It's still going to be an even lane for now. But we do see a good gank coming in on the top side. Trebro.
And Trebro looking to get the 3-tone strike audacious charge. Not going to find it, though. Does get the flash out of UofC. And given how forward Yorick's like to push up, is a pretty good flash to exploit at another stage of this game. Now taking a look at Egric, meanwhile. He is going to go for the vertical jungle off seeing that flash. Might go for the blue buff right now. Just going to go for the skull crab for the time being. But this is a response coming out from Chubby Monkey. Ooh. He doesn't realize he's caught out, and Chubby Monkey forced to burn his flash as well.
Yeah, Egric was seen on a wardle trying to take that Scuttle Crab, so we did see the Xin Zhao, instead of, maybe pathing into the enemy jungle after getting that Scuttle Crab, just started running towards the bottom lane. And UofC is not in a good headspace right now.
That is hard. Once a Scion gets going, especially when it's early in lane, when he's able to get all his skills, there's a lot of damage that comes through. And from what I've known of Yorick, at least in the past, it does take a little bit before he starts to ramp up.
Yeah, I know I said that UofC's going to have his free roam of this lane. It takes a minute, and it takes a lot of help. So we can already see Egric, trying to come up here and help. But, Yorick can't give up this many minions. He's of zero help in that gank because there's just too many minions. If he gives them up, he would be plus 10 minions down, and that is just the end of the lane right there.
And now Flash on the bot side. Trebro looking to get this gank in. Hokage falling critically low. You take down this Lucian early, it could be huge. Ignite goes through, and that's first blood going over to Hydro.
That was a great turnaround. Ooh, in the top lane, Cryus is going to get walked down. UofC should have a slow coming up soon. There it is. It's going to connect. Can he get the Q? He does!
Why did Cryus not flash? He had it up, he got greedy, and he pays for it. A kill, solo kill going over to UofC.
He didn't expect it. There was so much damage coming out from that minion jump that he simply wasn't expecting. And, that's what I was talking about. This Yorick, people don't understand it.
At the end of the day, Cryus is going to understand it very soon. Understand all the pain that's being delivered. UofC off to a great start, despite the better gank going over to Trebro, which is a shocking part.
Ooh, he got him in the cage.
Speaking of ganks, another gank comes out. The teleport, not the teleport, the flash finally used, stun. Going through as well. Cryus takes a bit of damage, tries to return some of his own, but Egric is really focusing on this top side.
Yeah, and that's like every Yorick's dream right there. They know that if they get the lead. This is like level 2 Alistar ganks from back in season 2. He gets the cage again! Cryus is dead here.
For it. This is not looking good whatsoever for Cryus. Death number 2. UofC's off to the races, baby.
And he's already used the burn to the teleport. He's going to have to walk back to lane. Yes, they're not hanging out to hard push it to the tower, but they know that Xin Zhao has to be somewhere close. There's no way he's going to give up 2 kills like that and not be anywhere near the top side.
I love the throwback to the season 2 Alistar, by the way. Not everyone will get that, but there used to be not junglers, but roamers, where their purpose was to grab the first buff and just run around the map trying to catch whatever you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to see it, you can look up a YouTube video. It was super common in LCS, and I think there was actually a mic check somewhere of someone going, "Really? Again? Alistar?" Because it was like 3 times in a row where Alistar just did exactly what we saw Egric do there. Go through that unwarded tri-bush, and then just, headbutt in. And it's so hard to deal with, especially on a flashless, dashless champion like Sion.
It's going to be rough days for Cryus going on so far. UofC, once again, having a good start. He is behind in farm. That is the one saving grace Cryus does have. So that does equalize the gold. But altogether, Excuse me. Urshi's absolutely loving it, and so is Agric. Meanwhile, in the spot lane, you can see a lot of farming going. Hokage is a bit of a ticking time bomb because all Lucian really needs is Blade the Rune King to start doing some pretty good damage. Once he gets the Black Cleaver, that is his mid-game spike. So Chubby Monkey and Sauce have to put as much of a performance as they can as Dragon gets taken in the name of Calgary.
Yeah, I mean, even the Cutlass for Lucian matters a lot. And so this is going to be a familiar scene in this top side. It's just going to be Urshi walking him down, and it hurts. This is going to normalize the CS lead fairly quickly.
Yeah, poor Cryus. You could just hear those waves of ghouls and minions whacking away at him.
Ooh, that was
he's in a terrible
nice dodge. Cryzon dodging out the charm there was really nice, and it does allow him to super win that trade. So now, depending on how far ahead Urshi gets, this is a little Yorick tidbit that we probably won't see this game, is once you get your Trinity Force, you do have a small opportunity, depending on how far ahead you are, to build Bloodthirster. At that point, once you hit level 11, you can actually solo Baron.
Oh my goodness.
So that is an option.
Urshi! Stop it, man! Not supposed to pop off this early. He's already got a bounty going on him now. Goodness.
And no, he's got a bounty while being down 30 CS. Keep that in mind. Because CS differentials do play a role into the bounty system now.
Yeah, for those wondering how it does work, it comes down to your gold compared to the average gold of the enemy team. And that will determine if you get a bounty or not. It has been changed a little bit for those who do fall behind early from dying. There's a differential buffer now. But it just shows you how far ahead Urshi is getting to have a 450 on his head at 8 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, Urshi getting the red buff there as well from getting the kill onto, you know, Treebro. He's gonna utilize it, yes, but it's not gonna be, you know, the same as giving like a ranged matchup, that red buff into Sion. So, but I mean, it does give him that much more sticking power. Flash is still down for Cryus. I would fully hope for Sejuani Gang to just punish it that much harder.
I would love to see more. I would love just to see the camp into the rage quit. I know it won't happen, but you know, just throwing in a ranked scenario there, it does get ridiculous to have to deal with that much pressure. That being said, though, Cryus is Sion, and Sion does scale. You're not going to stop a Sion from scaling, but what you can do is boost the Yorick into holy heck.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that Bloodthirster, if Urshi really wants to, you know, get silly with it, it's available. But, you know, he does have his ultimate still following him, actually. I think that's still there, actually, from that kill on red buff. I don't know why, but it's still there.
A lot of pings coming out from this top side. Hershey trying to find the cage again. And again, Cryus has to constantly be careful of it, especially when he uses Decimating Smash, because that's the time where you are most prone to getting locked into that cage.
Yeah, I mean, the cage is so useful, and it's, you know, say Cryus gets in a bad situation. A lot of times Scions go to use the ultimate to try and run away. The Yorick cage there actually counts as terrain. So if you can plan it a little bit ahead, it actually stops the Sion ultimate and will stop them from getting away, which is not something a lot of top laners have the option to do. And so normally they just get out for free.
But see, once again, Agric hooks on his top side. The ultimate's not going to land. Treebro under attack, Decimating Smash. Double knockup goes through, but now they're locked in the cage! And the flash burns from Treebro to stay alive. The pressure is just absolutely massive in this top side. Rotations are coming out. The entire team is looking to show up and try and thwart this UCLA goon squad. It's not going to happen, though, and because of that, you leave that tower open, and Midnight is going to take so many plates off of this.
Yeah, it's already down 2 plates, and we already saw this happen last game for Midnight. He gets 3 plates, and he puts that gold to good use. He's just going to farm this up. He's not going to be able to break the first brick, I believe, but he is going to take 4 plates to the bank.
Yeah, that bulwark buff that you get from taking down a plate makes it so hard to be consecutive with plates. We can see right there, he's basically taken everything. Hokage is in the best state he could be. He's got a CS lead. His gold lead is 1K. He's a champion that spikes very, very early. This is going to be a nightmare for Calgary to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, he already has that Blade of the Ruin King completed, too.
Yeah, an attack going on. Midnight looking to find some picks. Out goes the Ignite. Goes right through that shield. Pick will go over to Hydro. Scumbag support taking the kills, but that's the power of Ignite versus Exhaust.
Hey, now, team game, team gold, team kills. And so it all matters in the end. Bit of a spectator bug there with Shelly. So we are going to see it dance past the tower. And that feels kind of bad, not getting a tower with Shelly. Like, just straight up not getting a tower. But it did, I feel, divert enough attention away from that bottom lane that Midnight Hokage and Hydra were able to claim that first brick, and they're going to claim the first Infernal Drake as well. So things are looking like they're spiraling completely out of control here.
Yeah, and even though Midnight has yet to get a bounty, he's got a bunch of assists. Expect a bounty to go on his head pretty soon, because that gold lead he's obtaining right now is massive when it comes to the average gold of the enemy team. But an attack coming out of Kershi, you want to Carius? It's a little bit of poke in, and absolutely irritates Carius even more.
Yeah, it was a weird little blip there with the cage. It looked like he was in, and then it looked like he was hobbling out. Not sure what. Might have been just spectator. But, you know, Urshi now, you know, doing fairly well in this lane, does have his Tabby Phage up, so he is going to be able to, you know, finish up that Trinity Force very soon. And that's just going to be such a big spike for him. You know, Trinity Force champions, obviously, always getting a big spike from it. But York is one of those champions that just gets so much out of it and, you know, is able to utilize every single aspect of it that it's such a power buy for him.
Carius, a bit of a rough spot, but attention has been drawn. Tree Bro is starting to roam up there. He will be spotted out by the ward. Now Urshi's looking to run away, able to flash away from the onslaught. Cage not going to go up, but out comes the ultimate from Egric. Destroys Saucy Meat. Now Midnight Hokage just there for the memes at this point, but going to flash forward anyway. Getting the flash out of Chubby Monkey in the process.
Yeah, flash for flash on the AD carry feels bad when you play one that doesn't have a mobility dash. And so now that is just another benefit for Midnight Hokage. Obviously playing against a champion that doesn't have heal helps as well. You know, Chubby Monkey taking that teleport instead to try and, you know, pressure or survive the pressure from the Lucian. But unfortunately, he's already down 30 CS, lost his tower, is down 3 assists. It's a rough life.
Run, Octagon, run. Don't get too cocky because you can get locked up. Octagon falls to Egric, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange thus far. Midnight is far too low, so Chubby takes advantage, finds a double kill. Now Hydro trying to get out of dodge, finds a knockup, accepts his defeat. It's a shutdown going over to Taribo, and finally a window of opportunity for Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary taking the spike when they needed it, and, you know, getting that gold on to Chubby Monkey is so huge, because while we did mention that it's not a, you know, a real beneficiary of the critical strike patch, you know, is so strong still, you know, being able to make work with the Ginsu's Rage Blade and just, you know, everything that goes along with it, you know, will scale over. And we can see the replay coming in here. Octagon just being such a menace. He is going to be able to get away from that first, you know, counter engage. Does decide to go back in and just get snared. And from that point, he's able to get the flash out of Egric, which pulls him so deep into the battle here. Chubby Monkey's able to get that, you know, re-engage back onto Lucian using the, you know, Predator Instinct, and just gets the kill for himself. Meanwhile, the shutdown going over to Tree Bro as well. It's going to allow him to get so much more pressure going for himself.
It looked like it was going to be a bit of hubris from Octagon, but ultimately, having those low health bars from earlier, Hokage does pay for it. He's looking to back off. The charm goes
Oh,
wide.
no.
And now the assault onto Octagon. We talked Hubris. There it is again. But Chubby is there to respond. Treebro is going to be the one to find the kill. Calgary are still finding picks onto the mid-game ADC.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about this earlier, you know, going from Caitlyn to Lucian, you lose so much attack range, and he's really feeling it right now. He is not... Oh, no! Oh,
No way about
the
it.
3-talent strike timed so perfectly, getting that knock up, because as we all know, they did change the way Rise's ultimate worked, where if he gets CC'd, he's no longer able to take the magic portal ride, but, you know, just unfortunate timing for him. But,
Oh my god.
yeah, that's a lot of damage on the Scion.
I'm not used to seeing another top laner bully Scion this hard at this stage of the game. That is pretty brutal.
It's good. What's super bad, however, is how little damage Urshi's gotten to the tower. When you're bullying the enemy top laner as hard as Urshi's been able to, you really want something to show for it. And he simply doesn't have anything. This is like when you're supposed to put that, you know, book report together for your third grade English class, and you just forget about it, and so you spark notes it. Like, you don't have anything to show, and right now they're on the run. Cryas, you know, able to get out, but they blow the TP from Chubby Monkey as well.
And with that TV burnt, the mid lane absolutely exposed. Hokage will be able to find that. That is 2 towers down. And this is where UCLA start finding themselves in a position where they could take advantage of vision. Having this map opened up, it will be great for them.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit of gold counts. You know, Calgary's trying to get something. They are knocking down these towers. You know, they are 2 down, but or 2 up. Octagon's definitely not playing with fear.
Yeah, too cocky.
That's not the first time. Yeah, so that's not the first time he's gotten completely blown up by, you know, Egric's surprise arrival. And they're
I don't know
gonna...
what's going through Octagon's head, but he's got to get it out. Now the assault is onto Treebro, but the Crescent Strike will keep him in all right situation. Damage is coming through to Cryas. Black Cleaver has yet to be picked up by Midnight, so he can't carve through that health. As 2 kills go down, 1-1 apiece. Chubby Monkey trying to use that Infinity Edge as best as he can. But having a 1-for-1 definitely does not benefit UCLA.
Yeah, and I'm surprised by this Kaisa build, actually. I'm surprised Chubby Monkey is going this, you know, very attack damaged focused build. I know it's strong right now, but I don't know if it's the best for Kaisa. You know, we've seen her so effective on these Ginsu Rush, you know, sprees, and I'm you know, he's not there yet. He is going Infinity Edge. It looks like Ginsu's second, because he does have that pickaxe dagger, which will build into a recurve bow, which will then, you know, obviously build into Ginsu's. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it scales, because I don't know what else critical strike wise he's going to be picking up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit strange to see that build come out. I know Infinity Edge is a great item first, but I guess at this point, realizing the way the lane went, it's just a matter of building for the late game specifically, which I can understand.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it might not work out for him. We do see it in... Oh, the charm actually connected!
Ooh, the charm able to get onto Midnight, but Midnight sitting all right so far. Killer Instinct does go. Wow, Chubby Monkey trying to find more kills onto Midnight, but Midnight will be able to escape. It only costed him his heal. Dragon now underway for Calgary.
Both top laners are around, so we are going to be able to see a full 5-on-5 team fight here. Big engage.
Engage comes through, a big engage onto Cryzon. He will be the first one to fall. Now Octagon, mid laner for mid laner. Going forward, though, is UCLA. They have control of the tempo of the fight as Midnight goes forward, but he pays for it. Now Chubby Monkey on the run. Urshi is the one able to find that pick, but now running away is Calgary. UCLA still want to press the tempo.
Ooh, big
oh, no.
There.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the thing about York. You're kind of a bully, but turns out you're really bad when it gets ganged up on.
This could be absolutely disastrous. The poke onto the backside.
Oh,
Rick,
one more.
Only about 100 health. Treebro is able to chop him down.
So what a really awkward fight that was. We did see the great engage there coming in from, Egric was able to get a good, glacial prison out, but then it kind of devolved, right? Like it wasn't really back to front. Midnight was able to attack backside on Chubby Monkey and onto Octagon. Octagon trading with Kryzon when the team collapsed onto Kryzon, and we're starting to see it here. So we're going to see the engage on to the middle pack there. Chubby Monkey flashes out and is able to burst down the rise there, but then doesn't have the attack speed to keep this fight going. Everybody's getting taken so low. Tree Bro's doing a great job CCing everybody. Earthstrace trying to run back to front. Like I said, he is going to eventually get the kill there, but now they have to run all the way back to try and keep this fight going. And unfortunately, they don't really think that the bushwhack is a thing. The tornado there from Janna just so clutch and keeping them just far enough away. That decimating smash really didn't lose that much damage, so it's still able to put out, work. And then here, Egric just doesn't have the opportunity to escape, just slow after slow after slow. The decimating smash, he gets the second dash out of Tree Bro, and from then on, they're able to just take the dragon, and it's just such a weird, chaotic fight that wasn't able to go back to front like Chubby Monkey realistically wanted.
I think the big thing about that was Midnight. He flashed forward into Chubby Monkey. He didn't want to play front to back. He wanted to go straight after Chubby, and he paid for it. Him falling is what lost UCLA that fight in the long run, along with Urshi. Wondering what's in that bush. What could be there? I saw Sion running that way. There's no way he's decimating smash.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a questionable thing. He definitely was like, all right, we won the team fight, boys. Let's keep it going. And then all of a sudden, he's, subtracting health bars from his side. But, definitely a little bit of an overexertion there. They had the opportunity to fall back and take the dragon, but we'll have to see how that pans out now.
Gage does go through. Egric will be able to escape. See Hydro trying to do as much frontlining as possible. Those tanks are absorbing a load of damage, but because of that, it does enable a tower to fall on the bot side in favor of UCLA, but Calgary, they might want to do Baron here. This is a very risky move to do.
Yeah, teleport not available for Urshi. He's trapped in that bottom lane, but you know what? He's Yorick. He doesn't care. He's just going to run right through and take that inhibitor before this Baron's even going to go down.
Egric looking to get on into this. About 2,000 health remains on this Baron. Egric gonna go for the steal. Oh, no. It's critically low. Waiting for it to fall through. Smite goes out, but it goes over the Tree Bro. And now UCLA are fighting tooth and nail to make sure they at least win this team fight. On the bot side, however, Urshi is tearing it up.
What's he gonna do?
He annihilates those Nexus towers. But meanwhile, Hokage able to find one strangler on the Sasimi. Look at Urshi go, though. He is not done. Able to decimate and smash and destroy Octagon. 4 members are down. Cryus, what are you doing, man? Double kill going over to Urshi. And that is the full ace over to UCLA. The Baron, pointless.
Yeah, definitely a big misunderstanding of what they were dealing with there from, Calgary. They didn't respect the Yorick, and I said it at the very beginning. That's going to happen. Nobody knows what the Yorick's going to do. They were like, Yorick's in the bottom side, let's take Baron, right? It's a 5v4, we know he doesn't have TP, Yorick's stuck where he is. We get a free Baron, we recall, we stop him. What they weren't expecting was just the full-on engage that was coming back at them. Egric jumping in, Midnight Hokage just running wild, Hydro doing what he needed to do. And so they ended up getting the Baron in the side, but it was off a split decision. The carries of Calgary wanted to take the fight. The jungler, however, was stuck in the pit and was trying to finish off that Baron. And, right as the team fight started, like you said, it was at like 2k HP. So you need to either burn and turn or just completely give up on the Baron. And they split the call. They didn't know what they wanted to do. The Baron eventually goes down to Calgary, but it was after the carries were already dead and they were forced to run back. And it just... a bit of indecision there, combined with not understanding how much potential the Yorick has. It was a perfect storm for UCLA.
It was just beautifully played. You couldn't have asked for more. Underestimating that Yorick potential is exactly right. That's exactly what we saw in that case, because we don't see Yorick that often. I believe he's only been in one game in pro play by Someday, and that was it. His presence is so small, but because of that, you really don't know how to play against something like that. And it really did show. That was absolutely spectacular play. And congratulations to UCLA for winning this one. But now we have to take a second to think about who the MVP of this matchup really was.
See, that's pretty tight. No caster bias being an AD carry main. I definitely think Hokage was, time and again a shining star for his team. That Caitlyn play, pretty immaculate, always being able to stand in that back line and just, fight front to back. He had a couple questionable plays on that Lucian, like that team fight by the Dragon Pit, but overall, he played the lane very well, didn't give up too much pressure, was able to get, lots of turret plating off and eventually got that first brick. So I think it would go over to Hokage, but I'm open to other ideas.
And this is where I throw it over to Egric, because Hokage did his job all right in game number 1. He stood back and he did consistent DPS damage. In game number 2, in a more aggressive champion, you saw him kind of falter a little bit. He did get the picks he wanted, but he did do a lot of out of position plays. Meanwhile, Egric was the one who kept setting up these plays. He's the reason why UofC dominated that game and did that split push, because it was just like, I'm going to stay in mid lane, I'm going to set up a tent, and I'm going to make sure UofC gets out of that lane, but not only gets out of that lane, gets it all the way to the Nexus.
Yeah, like I said, I'm open to other ideas, and that's perfect. I definitely think everything you just said was, on point. And, without Egric, that second game doesn't quite go that same way, because we did see, Eris losing early on. So I definitely think you're right. I would agree with that. We unfortunately don't have a third party to, break this tie, so we might have to throw it off to chat. But I guess we're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, and that is okay. But that's the end right there. UCLA gonna take this series 2-0 sweep in dominating fashion. Congratulations to them, but that is gonna do it here on the casting desk. My name is Eric Desarex Patran. This is DW the Doctor. Shout out to our streamer Slim, and thank you for joining us here on the Everlife Gaming Network.
Sure, from the Lucian. But unfortunately, he's already down 30 CS, lost his tower, is down 3 assists. It's a rough life.
Run, Octagon, run. Don't get too cocky, because you can get locked up. Octagon falls to Egric, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange this far. Midnight is far too low, so Chubby takes advantage, finds the double kill. Now Hydro trying to get out of dodge, finds the knockup, accepts his defeat.
You want to see a full 5-on-5 team fight here. Big engage.
It comes through, a big engage on Decryzon. He will be the first one to fall. Now Octagon, mid laner for mid laner. Going forward, though, is UCLA. They have control of the tempo of the fight. As Midnight goes forward, but he pays for it. Now Chubby Monkey on the run.
Oh no!
Able to find that pick, but now running away is Calgary. UCLA still want to press the tempo. Oh no! There. Oh no!
Yeah, that's the thing about York. You're kind of a bully, but turns out you're really bad when it gets ganged up on.